Hey everybody, good morning or good night, good evening, depends on when you're listening to my voice. This is Ramon Ray, founder of Smart Hustle Media, and I'm really excited to talk to another entrepreneur and business owner, Nicholas Dancer, or Nick, depending on how we do names today, who's the author of a book, Day In, Day Out. The secret power in showing up and doing the work. But I must say, Nicholas, as you know, as I was going through your book, and what I like most about it is we just talked kind of offline. You like to get your hands dirty. You are a business owner and not just, in some ivory tower typing out things you researched. So welcome to the Smart Hustle community, and thanks for spending time with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm pumped to be here.
Awesome. And congratulations on the big day you had yesterday. So tell us, Nick or Nicholas, a bit about who you are and your company. And I think that's kind of most important because that defines your journey. I know you're a dad, I think, a husband. So feel free to take a few minutes just to unpack who you are, what your company does, where you're at right now, and why is that relevant to the book?
Yeah, so in our business, I started a company called Dancer Concrete Design, and we're out of a town in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So it's like a mid-market size city. And what we do is we work throughout the region, and we do polished concrete floors and epoxy floor coatings. And so that's all our business does. Concrete's in our name, but we don't pour concrete. We're working on concrete floors after they've been down. We do coatings, and one of the jobs I was talking to you about earlier was we were doing a kitchen, like a heavy duty commercial kitchen in a casino. And that's what the big day was yesterday. We're coating inside an active casino and just tons of people, tons of movement, and they need their floors back. They can't shut down.
Of course.
There's costs associated with renting out different coolers while we coat the coolers. And so it was like a high pressure environment where we have to perform, but it's also just one of those things where you just have to put like bulk work at it. Like there's just not we want to work efficiently, but after you find efficiencies, you just have to just do the work.
Right. And so I can understand epoxy flooring, which I'm sure half of the people listening understand. Is that like the famous floor we see in the CIA and all the Jack Ryan movies? Is that one type of flooring you do where it's shiny or the president's dancing in the ball? Is that, that's one part of it? Not like your concrete floor in your garage. You go over that and make it part of your work, make it look fancy, in my words, or am I off base? Is that?
Nope, that's actually correct. So the CIA floor, that's a terrazzo floor.
Okay.
And that's something we do as well. It's an epoxy binder with like marble or glass or chips like that. And so, yeah, we put things down. We have capital equipment, grinders and polishers, and we polish and grind concrete.
Got it. Love it. And then about the business itself, how's that going? And you shared about the business, but yourself, give us a little bit about your background, why you started it, why you didn't start something else, why you started this. And if you want to talk about your family, you're welcome to.
Yeah, a quick recap for a couple years is right out of high school. I was a janitor at my high school throughout high school. It was a summer job, and it was a blast. Like we strip and wax all the floors in the school, but it's pretty low key. You work with friends all the time, and so right out of high school, I kind of wanted that same environment. And somebody that I used to work with doing the janitor stuff started doing construction, and he said, it's like schoolwork, but we get to be outside, we get to drive to different job sites, and you get a tan and you get strong. And I was like, that sounds pretty, as an 18-year-old coming out of high school, like
it sounds good as a 40-plus-year-old.
Yes.
Of which I am.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I was from a very rural area, and so like construction isn't like safety, hard hat, like that kind of construction. It's like rough and tumble, like guys in Daisy Duke shorts and no shirts, like that kind of construction. And like right away, I was like, man, this is fun. I was with a lot of younger guys and we were having a good time, just working overtime out in the sun. And it was fun. And so to go to college, you actually have to go to like pick up your books and go to orientation. And it just never seemed like when orientation came, I was scheduled to go to college, but like when the day came to go to orientation or to go get your books, I just, I kind of just wanted to go to work and I didn't want to do that. So I just skipped it. And by process of elimination with all the other college age people that I worked with, I became a team leader when everyone else went back to school. And so I kind of got a promotion, started having more responsibility, liked what I was doing. And so for the next 2.5 years, I just did traditional concrete construction, basements, sidewalks, driveways, did a lot of agricultural work. And Friday after work, I had a motorcycle. I had a car pull out in front of me and I T-boned the car. And so I busted up my ankle pretty good.
Wow.
Outdoor construction had to take a little bit of a pause. And during that time period, my girlfriend's dad, who's now my father-in-law, introduced me to a Japanese artist in Berkeley, California. And he was doing some things with concrete, but he was using them in an artistic medium. So he was a ceramicist by nature. and he was using concrete as an artistic medium to make architectural elements. Countertops were popular. His name is Futong Chang, and he's wrote several books about, designing with concrete, building concrete homes. And my father-in-law is in the kitchen and bath industry, and concrete countertops were just starting to become popular. And during that time period, I was, holed up with surgeries, and I was in like one of those walking boots and crutches.
Wow.
And so I went out to like a training academy out in Berkeley and kind of got introduced to concrete as a whole new thing. I knew concrete as a structural element, and I knew that like all the work we were doing had a structural purpose, but he was doing something different. And so, I saw glass embedded in concrete for the first time. I saw fossils embedded, and I saw blue concrete for the first time. So, it was just like, it opened my eyes, and I never really was outside of, the Indiana, Ohio area. And so to be in Berkeley, California by myself at, 20 years old, I was like, whoa, like it was the first time I saw like a modern house. And
I got you.
It was just, I was just like, this is perfect. Like it just felt like right. It felt like, wow, this is cool. And it was right by the Berkeley College campus, and, just the mindset, the way people talk, the culture was just, it was awesome. And so came back and started making some stuff with that. And, somebody asked me to do a floor, and I knew how to like strip and wax floors from being a janitor. I knew how to do some other things through some countertop work, and just kind of wung it and took a project.
It sounds, Nicholas, like you love what you do.
Yeah, I do.
And the company you built, the 18 or so people who you're working with, it sounds like you love what you do.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I'm not looking to escape. Like I'm not doing this to do something else. Like if the rest of my life is this, or if I died tomorrow, like I'm good. Like my work right now is a mixture of, like yesterday was all hands-on work. Today is going to be a mixture of podcast interview, do some stuff for hiring, look at some bids, and then I'm going to go install again this afternoon. Yeah,
you're going to go what this afternoon?
I'm going to go do another install this afternoon.
Good. Okay, cool.
We're using a different product. And so there might be a couple weeks where I don't do any installs. And then right now we're in a season of doing some more difficult things or trials of products we haven't used before. And so I always want to be there on site when we try something new, to just help teach the team. I've been doing this 10 years. And so I want to be able, a lot of my role now is like coaching and developing our next level of leaders and installers. Wow.
I love it. And talk about leader. I have Dave Ramsey's book, Entre Leader. I think you and I could talk for 6 hours, I have a feeling.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey's a solid dude.
He is. Before I get into the principles of the book, two other things I was curious. Do you think entrepreneurs, people like us, hustlers, and I say that with all respect and complimentary, are born, or can it be learned? I can give you my opinion, but I don't want to bias you. I'd love to hear yours, meaning entrepreneurship. I think that everybody can learn to get a job. An accountant, you can learn to go to school, you can sit in a cubicle, whatever. I think that's learnable. But this, what we're doing, creating our own destiny, do you think you have to be taught that, or think something inside you that you just have to have, or you don't have it? What do you think?
Yeah, I can only speak from my experience. Okay. There's parts of me that I can't take credit for. There's things and experiences in my life, and it's hard to see. I'm 32 right now, and it's hard to see, like, was that shaped by an experience in my life, or was I born that way? Right now, the culture talks a lot about everyone being a business owner, and I don't believe everyone should do that. Like,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I like, it kind of sucks. Yeah. I think I was made for it. I think I've been gifted with some of the skill sets to be able to do that. Yep. But one of the things, like, I'm not a specialist in anything.
Me either.
Like, I can kind of learn something quick and understand the principles, and I can communicate well with specialists who do those things. And so I believe probably one of my strongest skills is connecting and inclusivity of people.
Wow.
So that serves our company well at our size and what we do. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I can't take credit for a lot of things in my life. Yeah. And, I worked a big day yesterday, and I was in here early, and I didn't have to like work hard for that. That just right. I just want to do that. Now there's other things in my life that I have to work hard at.
Sure.
And they've become a new normal. Yeah. So kind of split there, but I think that you should embrace the gifts you've been given and try to, and you don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be so specific. A lot of people looking for their purpose, you can get in a whirlwind of like not finding out like exactly what you're supposed to do. It's usually just finding something that actually serves others around you rather than yourself.
Absolutely.
And then, working hard to be the person you want to be. Like, and I think when you're still and quiet with yourself, I think, for me and a faith that I believe in, I believe the spirit will speak to me, and not in an audible version, but in a way of impulse and feeling and how I feel after I do things.
Guiding you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so when I'm quiet and I'm still and I think about where can I be of best use, it usually, gives me a path to take from there.
No, for sure. And I think, thank you, Nicholas. I think my vote on that, I think it's very similar to yours. I think entrepreneurs, which is the big word that's thrown around, as you kind of hinted so much, everybody's and their mother's an entrepreneur. So I don't like the word personally. I think there's freelancers, business owners, and entrepreneurs, but I think we're born that way. I think, meaning, again, you learn from experiences, but I think even that, in the question may not even be fair, but if I had to just split it, born or learned, I think there's just things that are inside certain people, the desire to have risk, not, being, what do you do with your fear, going onward, being able to learn. And like you said, you just being able to pick up books and just figure it out, like, okay, that's what I need to do my accounting, or, let me go to a hiring event. Ooh, I screwed up on that hire. Never do that again. So I think that's something, because everybody can't do it. I'm around, there's another part of my family who creating a business, they just want the safety and security of a job, which I'm glad, because if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have hospitals and dental clinics and schools and all that. But the breed of us who like to create, I think it's kind of we have some traits inside of us, put it that way, that help. Let's rip into the book, Nicholas. And again, thank you so much for your time. Man, I've been going through it. Why don't you unpack it for us? What's inside? What are the things we know? As I just look here at the chapters, I see here, move, grow, build, truth, the way we work. I mean, it's pretty legit. And I think what really is impressed with me is because we're talking to a business owner who's created his own business. So unpack it. What are, I want people to get it for themselves, but in the 10, 15 minutes we have, what are some of the highlights of the book? And if you don't mind, why did you write the book? You're supposed to write a book on how to pour concrete. So why did you write this one?
Yeah, I've wrote for trade publications before.
Okay.
And done some speaking for like our industry, but that felt like a task to be done. There was no joy in that. I like what we do, and it's exciting to me. One of the biggest things I like about what we do, though, is that we actually come into a space and we physically change it. Yeah. And then when we leave, it's different because like our hands were on that floor, and so that's important to me. But I think if I was a house framer or a roofer, like I could probably get that same excitement. Now I really like what we do, but I just don't like writing. I write some blog posts on our website about it, but a book about it would be super dull. I read a lot, and I've always been drawn to reading that's like short, to the point. If they start getting into Harvard research-backed studies, like
same with me,
my
man.
brain just pauses, or sometimes it's so dense and so good, like my brain can't take anymore. So I'm like, I have to put the book down because I'm like, a book I'm reading right now is called The Road to Character, and it's an incredible book, but I got to take it in small doses because I got to let it like sit and like let it really mature in my mind before I move on. So,
and I'm a reader as well. I got some books here. And to the point about the Harvard, again, no ding about Harvard. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's just, I just signed up for the Harvard Business Review. As you may know, the kind of thick publication with stats and all this. And I've had it for a few months. Great publication. Nothing bad about it. It's great for some people. But I said, this is not for me. Because I liked some of the headlines, how to be a better speaker. But most of it, I was like, you know what? It's good, but it's not helping me. But please continue. Why and what's inside.
And Jim Collins probably does the best bringing those two worlds together. But like, that's as dense research backed as I can get.
And Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
Probably another one.
There's definitely some good ones. But so I've always been attracted to reading some of the authors that put out like Rework. Jason Fried and David Hanmeyer Hansen. That book has always been impactful to me. David Data writes in a similar essay type format. Back in the day, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote in essay type format. And then Stephen Pressfield. It's just like short, punchy chapters. And what I liked about that is I think I developed a love of reading through the short, punchy chapters because, coming out of schooling, you're just like, you read what you have to. And to develop the love of reading, I liked getting through a chapter in a couple of minutes, and I felt like it was a win, like 3 to 5 minutes and boom, like I read a chapter. And so I wanted this book to read the same way, like essay type format. If I get bored in one section, I can go to the next section, easy to reference back. And that was the process of this book. I wanted kind of that same, if in that same space.
Got it.
I like books like that.
Got it. And so help us answer the question, the secret power in showing up and doing the work. And I have a feeling that you've talked about a lot of it in your journey and how you proceeded, but what's inside? What are 2 or 3 of those nuggets that everybody should understand and take away? And again, 2 or 3 short changes, all you put into it. But for this discussion, what are some of those key points that you want to bring out that we should learn in this discussion?
Yeah, the title sums up a lot of it, and the title's kind of like, it's only funny to me. I don't know if everybody else gets it, but okay. I like the humor and things I only understand. But the secret power in showing up and doing the work is it's literally that there's a part of us that want the easier, softer way in what we do, and even the hardest of the hard. Let's say like a David Goggins or a Jocko Willink. Those are some tough dudes. Like you read those guys, like those are manly, strong, just get it done kind of guys. Mm-hmm. But I bet there's a part of them that, and Goggins talks about this, that wants the easier, softer way. And the secret power in showing up and doing the work is not trying to say that doesn't exist in you. It's trying to say like, hey, I see you. I can choose that sometimes, and sometimes it's a good choice to make that choice. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to make the other choice, but you got to show up every day. Yeah. And like, don't discount little things done over and over again. You know, it's easy to say, like, probably in my younger years, I thought everything had to be a big project and it had to be done right away. And like, it's got to be this massive, like huge shift. And I've just learned that those take a lot of resources and there's a lot of talking, but just if we can just make small incremental improvements little by little each day, wow, like we can have a different life. And, you know, even working out, physical fitness, eating right is always the easiest to go back to, because at some point in our lives, we've all wanted to exercise more or eat less food or eat a different type of food. And, you know, there's some good programs out there, but whether you do paleo or Whole30 or no carb or all fat, no fat, those are like items. Those are like tasks to get to the truth. The truth is that we have to eat wholesome food that gives us energy. Like that's the reason for food.
And you got to move around a bit. Those are the 2 secret things.
Yeah, you move and eat, and eat's for energy and move is to feel good. And so, you know, we can get those in different ways. But what about if our lifestyle, like, you know, I love the idea of like 30-day juice cleanses and stuff. Those are fun, or take cold showers every morning for a week. But I really like things that just become habitual for me, rather than like, because there's so much work involved in saying like, oh, I can't eat chocolate this month. And then all you want to do is eat chocolate. Right. And so what about if we just eat a little bit less chocolate? Like, that's still enjoy it. Or how about we only eat good chocolate instead of crappy chocolate? Like, you know, just making small decisions over time compound a lot more. It's hard to see like 5 years out in the future, 10 years out, and being okay with where we're at now while still being excited for what the future may hold too. Because, you know, sometimes we can get real excited about, well, if I do this move, if I get this job, then our business is going to be here, or I'll be here. Right. But what about just being okay, content with where we're at while still pursuing that drive? And sometimes that drive isn't loud shouting, go get it. It's just like showing up and putting in some work, showing up, putting in work, and just repeating that process. And that's what's worked in my life. And it seems from some of the readings I've done, it's worked for others. And so that's the path I've found is good for me. And that's what I want to share with others.
No, I love it. And I think you've done a great job at it. Any particular, I guess, asking you what a favorite chapter or part of is, as they proverbially say, asking you who your favorite child is or something like this. But as we look at the book here, any particular part, and I see here, you know, chapter 37 or part 37, simple things, it seems like that. You have one here, define your A players. Why don't we break some of these things down? What does that mean to you, define your A players? Or if you want to break out one of them, let's give people a taste of what's inside this book. And I do hope they read it day in, day out by Nicholas Dancer. But what does that mean, the aspect of define your A players, or one or other 2 nuggets you want to bring out that specifically are inside here?
Yeah. One of the things, define your A players, that's just borrowed from, I can't remember who it's borrowed from, but it's just like,
I'll give you the credit for now.
All right. It's like who's on your team can do the work and has, the good attitude or a good culture fit.
Yes.
And if they have one and not the other, they could be a B player. If they have neither one, they could be a C player. And what you want to do is continue to refine your team until you have A players. And it's actually really hard to get fired from our company. We give a lot of grace in our business, but we also have the capacity to like have solid conversations with people when there's issues that prevent them from being at their best for because everyone talks good when you start a working relationship, and just making sure we held up our end of the bargain too, because we want the full picture of what we do. And hiring people and letting people go is a big move. I think it's a super important thing, and just how much it affects families too, and I want everyone that interacts with our business to be better for it. And I would say that people that have lost their job here or moved on from here, like, I think would say that we treated everyone fairly and dealt with them. And so whether it's customers or team members, we do something called the grocery store test. Okay. And we never want to really leave a relationship where if you saw them in the grocery store, you wouldn't want to avoid them.
Wow. So I like it. Yeah.
So even though, we've been fired and kicked off jobs before too. And that's kind of like our being fired.
Yeah.
But
of course,
we always leave in a place like on our end of the street. Like I would be fine seeing them in the grocery store and saying hi.
And Nicholas, that is so important. I'll just confess something. I screwed up. We screwed up with a client of ours. We screwed up in a big way. I mean, a big way. But how we had to deal with it, I owned it, et cetera. I'm not touting me because somebody else, as they were telling me something, said, Ramon, we like how you handled it. And you're right. Even though we screwed up, it was arduous, man. It was so painful. But yet, I know how we handled it, how we're talking. When I see them again, and we will see each other because we're in the same industry and circle, we'll smile and greet each other. But it won't be bad because, imagine if I spilled coffee in your shirt. If I would have blamed it on you, then that's like, oh, there's Nick. But hey, Nicholas, I'm sorry. Here's a brand new shirt, dry cleaned it, we hugged. Now, so that's what it's so important though. I love that, the grocery store test, because so many times I think we think that being messed up or making a mistake has to be bad or has to be life-changing. It doesn't. You can make a mistake, screw up really bad, but I think it's how you deal with it. Do you apologize or not? Are you doing your best to clear the air?
Yep. And it just makes for, I think, a more harmonious life. Yeah. So it's, if it works, just keep doing it.
For sure. One other thing I want to talk to you about, Nicholas, is leadership. I know, and I think about the third or fourth part of the book chapter, you talk about, it's not about following or something like that but talk about leadership. How is that important to you, and what does that part of the book bring out? Because I know to lead a team, you have a small team of about 20 people there. As you said, you want to help, you want to set the tone, set the template, if it's something new. Nicholas is the guy who's going to jump in with his boots or whatever it is and get on the floor and be like, oops, this didn't work, before he tells somebody else to do it. So why is leadership so important? And I have one of my favorite books, Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership, behind there too. So, but talk about leadership. That's something I've been, I'm a marketing person, as you may know. But before every talk, I tell people three things. One, you all have to be better leaders. And it's not a talk on that. And two, know your numbers. And I say that because that's been a weak area of mine. So I always preface, before you learn how to tweet, get on Instagram and do funnels, leadership and finance. That too. So my question, Nick, leadership, what does it mean to you? Why is it so important? How are you doing it?
Yeah, I think it's a lot simpler than people want to make it out to be. When you complicate it, you can sell lots of things. But I believe it's just acting in a way that you would want repeated by other people. And so if what I'm doing was multiplied by 100 times or 10 times, like, would we be a better organization for it? You had a guy here on, I can't remember his name, but I wrote it down, and he said, he was talking about businesses, the difference between like growing a business, like a lifestyle business or a scaling company. And he said something like, every morning ask, what does the business need of me, rather than what do I want from the business? And there's definitely a section of business where it's, what can the business do for me, or business owner freedom, or make this money. And the way he approached it is like, what can I do to serve the people around me? Right. And I think when we serve those around me, I think it produces, I think that's leadership. The example I give in the book is, I took my two of my oldest boys. We go on I run and they do a bike ride. It's a 3.5 mile loop from our house to the park and back. And like, the purpose of that is to be together and bond,
Mm-hmm.
but also they're 6 and 5. Probably by the time they're 12 and 11, they might be doing that on their own.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so my plan is to grow them so they can do it safely. They know the terrain. And so I'm never really out in front. I'm encouraging. If we come to a section that's more dangerous with cars around, like I jump right up in front to like
Absolutely.
direct traffic, and then I flow back into my space and I let them and I build them. And so I think that's what leadership looks like.
Wow.
And my wife and I do a yoga class on Friday mornings, and the teacher always ends it in a way. She says like, "Thank you for letting me learn from you." And I think that, rather than leadership to be a title to be achieved, what if we thought about it as just like leadership is never like, you never gain mastery in leadership. You always take a beginner's mind to it, and you're always learning. Like you can't be a leader without like for me as an example, like I can't be a leader without people on my team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my job to learn from them how to be a leader. And so if they present an option to me that frustrates me or I get upset, like that's my opportunity to learn how to be a leader.
Yeah.
Like rather than being mad, like, oh, I just can't believe they didn't do that. Like, well, that's if they did everything perfectly, there'd be no purpose for me. Like my job
you
is
would
to
need to be
direct. Yeah. So they give me the opportunity to learn how to be a leader, and you don't learn how to be a leader when everything just goes great. You learn how to be a leader through, some of those problems we talked about. Like that's how you grow.
Nicholas, wow, this is powerful, and I can't wait to attend the Nicholas Dancer events, leadership academies, running. You know what? No, you run, and I'll be in the bike with your kids.
Right.
They can pedal me around.
Nice, get a bike with a basket.
Yes, I do treadmill, but as you know, treadmill and running on regular streets, two different things. But I'm glad I do move. But it's just running is a pain. But man, I can't wait to meet you in person and give you a big hug. Really, I feel a connection and great information. Anything else you wanted to add? Is the book available on Amazon, or if people just Google it? Can they find it day in, day out? Is that what they can?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. The paperback, and then the Kindle version, and then the audiobook should be coming out in February.
Awesome. Day in, day out by Nicholas Dancer. My name is Ramon Ray, founder of Smart Hustle Media.